What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Tuesday, which means we talk to Nick Underhill of neworleans.football. Neworleans.football is the site. Go check it out. It's your one-stop shop for all things Saints, man. Got an incredible team with him and Mikey T, Brooke Kirkchoffer, everybody behind the scenes making it happen over there. Just hit 100K on YouTube. Go check him out. And again, like I said, I've been a proud subscriber for years now. NFL free agency kicking off, and not any big pickup news as of yet for the Saints, but a couple of contract moves, and obviously we'll get into the Cousins stuff as well with Nick real quick here. But first, Nick, tell us give us just like the quick rundown of what DeMario Davis's contract reworking means and what Tyrann Mathieu's contract reworking means.
Yeah, both of them save some cap space, keeps them around for another year beyond next season. They were both going to expire at the end of 2024. Tyrann actually took a little bit of a pay cut to stick around, and it was something that he was going to be willing. He was going to be willing to do that even without the second year added on. The second year just kind of, was an added benefit for him. Not a major pay cut, but I mean, he kind of understood the situation, wanted to stay here, wanted to be, a team guy. Kind of, I think, wants to finish his career here, and that was something that he was willing to do for the team. He almost ultimately ends up getting whole if he plays through that second season. But for both these guys, yeah, they're going to be part of the future. They got to make the cap numbers work for the team. So that seems like an easy place to go. I had heard some rumors they were trying to do it with Kamara too. So we'll see if that kind of plays out. He actually has 2 years left on the deal, but the last year was really, which is 2025, is he's never going to see it. He's never going to play through that. It was kind of just like a fake year tacked on at the end to make his average annual value go up to a point where it was the highest in the league at the time. So, I mean, sometimes you have that funny math on there, but he's never going to play through that year. So I think they're trying to find a way there too to see, maybe if there's a way to get something done. And Ramchek's another one that I think they're going to look at, and his base salary is $17 million. I think if they do something there, it would be to try to bring that number down. I don't necessarily know if it's to tack on more time or anything like that. I think it's just if they do something with that one, and it might end up being just a straight restructure. But I think there's a desire to kind of bring that number down a little bit.
When's the restructuring going to be done and the new signings maybe are going to start coming to New Orleans, Nick? Obviously, you had a lot of things you had to do for the salary cap, but can you see a wave of free agency where the Saints do bring in some players? I know handcuffed a little bit there, but when can you expect to bring in some new faces to New Orleans?
Well, they had Avonte Maddox visiting yesterday, and obviously he's had an injury history the last couple of years. I think he's only played in 13 games the last 2 years, or he's missed 13 games, one of the two. But yeah, I mean, he tore his pec last year, and then he had like a litany of injuries in 2022. He would be to play in the slot, provide depth maybe. And that's kind of interesting in its own right because the stuff with Lattimore is still kind of floating around out there. So if Lattimore were to get traded, I think you could potentially, if you sign him, put Avonte Maddox in the slot, move Alontae Taylor to the outside, and that's how you go about it. Or he's someone that could just be veteran depth, across the board. He's played inside and outside, much better inside than outside, but he could do both. So there's value either way with that. But either way, it sets the stage to where you have a guy then if you get the offer for Lattimore you like on June 2nd, you could move him and you aren't, chasing your tail, and you're set up to be able to kind of at least explore that opportunity if they sign him. And I think there's a want to get that done. It's just kind of a matter of how it looks health-wise and what the numbers are. But the restructuring, that's easy. Like they put this thing in everybody's contract, an automatic conversion clause, where they could just sit down today and say, we're going to restructure Ryan Ramczyk and do it. They don't even got to talk to them. It's already been pre-agreed to. Now, I don't think they do things that way. I think there's obviously a conversation, but it's set up to where they've already agreed to it, so they can just go do it. So I don't think that's a major hurdle. I think it's it gets a little bit slower when they're trying to figure out how to get some of this stuff done with different guys and the DeMario type deal, the Tyrann type deal. So you can agree to terms now and figure that stuff out later. Even, I mean, if you get a signature on a contract today, like you don't have to file it today. You can file it 2 weeks from now. You could sit on it and just kind of send it in when you send it in. So I don't think it's holding anything up. I think what we're seeing right now, this is the process of trying to get a cleaner cap. Like, you aren't chasing major free agents. You aren't spending a ton of money. I think this is the cap cleanup. And to get the cap clean, you got to slow it down. And, it sucks. Like, if you're going out to buy a house and you're 6 months away from buying it and you got a 640 credit score, and you say, you know what, for the next 6 months, we aren't going to spend any money so we can get that score up to 710. Like, those 6 months are going to be incredibly boring. At the end of it, though, you get the new house, but that's how you get the new house. You got to go through that process of just, boringness, nothingness, no entertainment, no Uber Eats, like no movies. Like, you're just sitting at home watching Netflix, doing nothing, and that score is going up, and it is boring as hell. Like, this is terrible right now. Like, you're watching the whole league. Gardner Minshew got signed yesterday. They're in the third wave of free agency already. Lonnie Johnson got signed. Like, it's slim pickings. Like, there's still some big names out there, but like, the Saints aren't. I would be shocked if they get involved in them. And this is what it's going to be, I think, for a year or two. Like, you get it clean, and then you are in a place where you can go out and you can be the Houston Texans and, sign big name players and stuff. But like, this is kind of where they're at right now. So I think this is the process of being competitive, but cleaning up the cap at the same time. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be super exciting. It's not going to be, it's just kind of Clint Kubiak's here. That's how they're going to try to get better. And we're going to have to see if it works.
Nick, let's talk about Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons. It's kind of interesting. If you look at the Saints and the Falcons, in many ways now, they resemble one another, but you could maybe argue the Falcons like maybe a little more so. Retread head coaches, these quarterbacks that have been similar in a lot of ways, but Cousins has had more success than has Carr. Like a Kamara Bijan, right? A Lave Drake London. It's intriguing to see, and of course all the shared defensive DNA from Ryan Williams. Let's start with a very base question. Kirk Cousins on the Falcons now. Do you believe that makes Atlanta the favorite to win the NFC South? Should it still be the Bucs, or do you think that the Saints still should have a say in that?
If he's healthy, I mean, I kind of like what Atlanta's doing. I do. And I hate to say it. I mean, but it kind of feels like they're the team on the rise a little bit. It is funny, though. It's kind of like you got, a Nissan Altima, Honda Accord, and a Chevy Malibu parked in the driveway. And there's a bike in the garage. It's kind of like it's like the whole mediocre, practical, like economy version quarterback that's the NFC South right now. So, yes. It could go. I don't think anyone has a massive advantage at that position. I think if they're all healthy, I think Cousins is the best one out of them. I like Bijan. Like, obviously, I think he's someone that can be a game wrecker. I think they got a really good offense going in there too. I mean, they got the Rams offense coming their way, so I think that's something that's going to benefit Cousins a little bit too. So yeah, I mean, it just feels like they're younger and on the rise, where it feels like the Saints are like kind of older in a sense. So it just feels like maybe they're trending the right way. But I kind of feel like they're all still they're all going to be packed in. I think it's probably going to be like a game or two that separates them. I don't think anyone's going to run away from the pack, but I do like Cousins' ability, and we've seen him change offenses and be solid multiple times. So I don't think that's going to be a huge issue for him. So yeah, I do kind of like the direction of their team right now. And if I had to place a bet today, I mean, I do think, and look, they're picking before the Saints too. So they probably, end up getting, the pass rusher the Saints want.
Yeah.
That's probably how it's going to end up playing out. So I think that, I think right now, if I had to place a bet today, I think Atlanta's probably the favorite.
What about the Carolina Panthers, Nick? I mean, we never talk about them, and it looked like they had some talent on the roster last year. A lot of us liked Bryce Young. I know I did. I thought Bryce Young would have a much better rookie season. Dysfunctional, to say the least. You fire the coach. You fire the quarterback coach. I mean, anybody that he knew, right, in his rookie season, you got rid of, I guess, to try to already hit reset. Like, are the Carolina Panthers incredibly far away? Like, where are they at right now? We know they don't have the number one overall pick. They gave that up for Bryce Young. Where do you see the Panthers?
It seems like they're just kind of – I don't see how they're going to be competitive next year. It just kind of feels like, they're still resetting a little bit. I'd be picking up the phone to see if, like, maybe J.C. Horn's available. Like, honestly, like, they just trade Burns. Like, I don't know how they're going to win games next year. It's kind of, still feels like they're tearing it down a little bit. Like you said, they don't have the pick. I don't see the hope. Like, at least with like the Patriots look terrible right now. And they signed Jacoby Brissett, but like you can at least like, oh, they got the third pick. Like maybe they'll turn it around. They probably won't, but like I don't see that even that glimmer of hope for the Panthers right now. So I have no idea. Yeah, I think it's a 3-team race, and they're gonna probably be the team that everybody else in the division looks at and they assume 2 wins. Now it's not gonna play out like that, but they are just kind of in that position. I think they're probably a year or 2 away from getting to where they want to be. I mean, the one thing I'll say is like Gideon Canales, I do like the work he's done. Like obviously he made Geno Smith helped Geno Smith become a viable quarterback, helped Baker Mayfield get to where he wanted to be. I think that, if he is who we think he is, there should be an uptick in what they get out of Bryce Young, but I don't know if there's enough around him at this point. Like they need the offensive line, they need playmaker, they need a defense. Like I don't know how they're going to win games next year.
Has there been Nick, has there been any, I know you're always in touch with kind of the whispers around the building, and generally in the offseason, most whispers right now are going to be like, they're going to err on the positive side, but has there been any talk about how Kubiak's fitting in with the organization?
Yeah, I think everybody's like super excited right now. One of the things that happened that I thought was really good, like immediately, like right after you got hired, like I heard Alvin was in the building meeting with them and talking to them, and just, I think that's a huge thing.
That's the key.
I think that everybody is like, I think that there's an optimism where last year it was kind of like they were trying to figure out how to overcome some of the stuff, and it was just like, look, we can only go out and run the plays that are called. Like I think now people are looking around, players are looking around it, and there's a sense of hope that, hey, like this thing could work. It's the right system. It's the system that we've seen work in the league. Now, obviously, like this guy has to go out, call plays, design game plans, all that stuff. Like there's no guarantee of anything, but I do think that everybody is kind of, very optimistic about just seeing that uptick. I think there's a belief that it's going to make Derek Carr better. They kind of look at that last 5-6 game sample when they finally got the offense to where they wanted it to be, doing some of the stuff and thinking like, hey, like, if this stuff like comes equipped into the in the home instead of like trying to retrofit it and force it in with someone that doesn't really know how to, design offense this way, I think there's an assumption that things are going to get a little bit better there. I don't know though. Like I feel like they still need a better roster than they had last year. You see everybody else kind of making some moves. But yeah, I think they also think like Jamal Williams, there might be hope for him, like in a different run scheme. So getting a little more out of him at least. So, I mean, I think there's just a lot of things that they think are going to fall into place, but I think we gotta see it at this point. Like it's just tough for me to like, I like this offense. I like the system. I like everything about it. Like if I could have picked one before they ever did anything, this would have been it. And this is probably the guy that I would have circled. Like you just look at the pedigree and it's kind of shooting darts blind. Like you just look at the offense and pick like the highest ranking assistant that could leave the building, but like he's the guy that I probably would have went after. But I just feel too snake bitten over the last few years. Of like, these things happen and it's like, it's gonna, this is gonna work, and then it doesn't. So I'm gonna show him proof point, but I mean there is a cautious optimism, I think, and I think the people in the building are incredibly excited about the direction they're going on offense.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.